Welcome, guys, to the NBA live stream. We got 3 games to go over today. So if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name's DK. What we'll do is we'll take a look at news so far, review the Vegas odds. I'll go team by team, talk about players I like, leave some room for questions at the end. Really, there's no news we're waiting for. Like, Chris Paul went through shoot around and he's playing. I have no interest in him, and it's just because the way he's looked, right? He is clearly not right with that shoulder. Can barely dribble his right hand, can barely shoot. So I'm just not even touching Chris Paul. I think it's a pretty easy fade on this slate. What's going on? What's going on, Matthew? Yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts there with Paul. Some of the Boston guys are questionable, or Kemba's questionable for Friday. We'll keep an eye on that for tomorrow's slate. Reviewing the Vegas odds. So a Bucks and Heat is a 224 over under. The Bucks 1.5 point favorites. Suns and Lakers a 212 over under. The Lakers 6.5 point favorites and Nuggets. Blazers a 227 over under. The Blazers are 3.5 point favorites. What's up, Jetman? Cult season. Bring back the cult. You guys remember that? That was good stuff. And surprisingly, I don't know how I cashed actually with ease last night. That slate was so ugly. Conley kind of bailed me out. I had Conley. Jonas Valanciunas picked up 3 fouls in like 6 minutes in the first half. But he actually went off in the second half. He had like 28 fancy points in the second half to bring me to the cash. Just imagine if JV would have stayed out of foul trouble. He would have been on pace for close to 60 at no ownership. So it's been every slate. Every single slate I've had to deal with foul trouble. It's super, super tilting. But yeah, I'm surprised I could still get in the cash. It was just an ugly, ugly slate. A ton of landmines once again. But all right, so let's go over the first game here in Milwaukee and Miami. So Milwaukee up 2-0. Giannis Antetokounmpo at 10.9K. If you have the salary for him, I think it's a pretty safe play at the top because he's going to play close to 40 minutes. Miami is known for a good defensive team, but it hasn't looked like that. I mean, the 2 games I've watched, they haven't really been able to stop Giannis at all. So, yeah, if you have the salary for Giannis, I have no issue with that at all. Middleton and Drew maybe fit a little bit better into like the optimal build. There's a lot of good plays in the kind of 6 to 8K range that I want to be living in. So I think for myself, I'll be going a little bit more balanced. So guys, Middleton, Drew Holiday, perfectly fine filler options. I don't think I'm going to start my lineup with one of these guys. Like, we have Middleton at 8K and Jimmy Butler at 8.4. Just give me Jimmy Butler all day long. If he busts again, then I'm just going to go down with the ship. I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know. So, and Middleton and Drew both fine secondary options. Probably slight edge to Drew over Middleton. And then we got some fair value plays in guys like DiVincenzo and Brook Lopez. As long as this game stays close, both should play about 30 minutes. DiVincenzo's kind of do-it-all guy. And Brook Lopez, again, decent point per guy. So I think both those guys are fair values. Both fair values. I think safer options as long as the game stays competitive. Couple GPP value plays off the bench. Bobby Portis, we know, is a good point per minute guy. Should get about 15 to 20 minutes. If you want to roll the dice on him, I'm perfectly fine with it. Again, we know he's a guy that can put up fantasy points in a short amount of time. If you're going to ask me about Bryn Forbes, no, I'm not chasing it. Can he still have a decent game? Sure. He's got to hit like 5 to 8 threes in like 20 minutes, though. So, yeah, I mean, you never know. We could do it again. I'm not going to do it, though. I think ownership might be a little bit inflated after that most recent game. On the Miami side, there's more to like here for me on the Miami side. I love Jimmy Butler. I know he just absolutely killed my lineup the last slate. They got destroyed. That was super frustrating to watch. He was very, very passive. This is a must-win game, an absolute must-win. He's going to play 40-plus minutes. I'm going right back to the wall, Jimmy Butler. If he burns me again, so be it. He is one of the best plays of the slate, and it's not even close. Love Jimmy. Bam Adebayo also does seem a little bit underpriced. He's been struggling a bit of late, though. I think he's a good tournament play. I think I would just rather play Jimmy Butler, and I don't think I want to play 2 main Miami guys here. So for me, it's just give me Jimmy Butler all day long over Bam. Hero, there's just no way I'm getting to him. Goran Dragic, guy I feel pretty good about. Should play about 30 minutes on the bench. Has been popular in the higher stakes stuff last couple slates. I think he'll be popular again today. I think he's, once again, a little bit too cheap. I do like Dragic again. Safe play with some upside. High usage guy off the bench. A couple other value plays I want to mention. So Trevor Ariza's at 4.8K. Fair value. Not a super high usage guy, but should play over 30 minutes. Put him in the same category of guys like Brook Lopez, Dante DiVincenzo, Robert Covington, right? These low usage guys are going to play big minutes. does one really stand out more than the other? Not really, but again, they're just fine like filler options. You got to play probably a couple of these guys in your lineup. So, yeah, perfectly fine with him. Duncan Robinson, more the high risk, high reward play. He's got his threes. I would say he's a little more upside than Ariza, but probably a little bit of a lower floor. And then last guy I mentioned is Dedmon. I'm intrigued here. And the reason I am is not recency bias. No, I know you went for 32. I know. That's not why I have a little bit of interest in Dedmon. The reason I have a little bit of interest in Dedmon is they played him alongside Bam Adebayo for a little bit that game. Now that is something I can get behind. So I'm not saying that's going to happen again, but we know that is at least a possibility. And Dedmon's a decent point per guy. He is. I think his role normally is probably 10 to 14 minutes off the bench. But if he's going to get like 5 to 10 minutes extra and play alongside Bam, then he becomes a really good value play. I'm just not sure if they're going to go back that direction or not. So, tricky one here at Dedmon. But like, if you're going to ask me who of like the two unknown value plays went off last game in Forbes and at Dedmon, give me Dedmon all day long. He can do more of the peripherals. He's a better point per guy. He doesn't have to hit shots to get fantasy points. So a little bit intrigued by Dedmon there for GPPs. All right, so we got 2 games left. If you guys are just coming in, if you could leave a like button on the live stream. We're already just about over 200 viewers and 32 likes. Appreciate the support. And yeah, let's keep it going. So Phoenix and the Lakers. This one projected to be the lowest scoring of the 3 games on the slate. 212 over under. Both teams solid defensively. We'll start with Chris Paul, who I have zero interest in. Again, the way he's looked, I'm just not touching it. No, you never know. Like, I'll watch this game. I'll see how he looks. If he looks better, then I'll target him next slate. But right now, I'm just taking a wait-and-see approach. I told you I was going to do it last slate, and I'm going to do it again. I have no confidence right now in Chris Paul and the way he looked. So let's talk about Devin Booker. So with Chris Paul struggling with the shoulder, with him not being able to shoot a ton, I think Devin Booker is a guy that actually looks like a pretty solid play at 8.1K. Should play big minutes. Going to have to do a lot more when Paul is not on the court. And maybe Paul's limited again. So, yeah, I think Devin Booker actually is a pretty solid play here. DeAndre Ayton at 6'3". This is just a minutes thing, right? He played 42 minutes in regulation. 42. Now, my one concern, I mentioned it with in the YouTube video, is like, if you watch these Suns games, I haven't had, I wasn't able to watch a ton of games this year, so I didn't get to see Phoenix play a ton. But, like, the offense, like, it doesn't really run through him at all. It's just kind of like a lot of his points were, one of the guards driving in and then dishing it to Ayton for like an easy dunk. That's where I saw him get a majority of his points. And like rebounds, he just like ate up a lot of defensive rebounds. So like, I could see a way it doesn't work out, but just the fact of minutes plus price isn't moving. Even though the matchup's not necessarily the best, I think Ayton is a really, really solid play here, and probably my favorite Sun on this slate. Mikal Bridges at 5'2", another guy that, should play decent minutes, but I just don't have a ton of interest in him. Would rather get to a guy like Jay Crowder for cheaper at 4.4K. He actually got in foul trouble last game and still went for 23 fantasy points. I think he plays more in this game, assuming he stays out of foul trouble. They need his defense and guys like AD. They need his defense and guys like LeBron. He's a guy that can knock down some threes, get some blocks and steals. I think Jay Crowder is one of the safer value plays on the board. Now, Campaign is more the high-risk, high-reward play. He had a really good game last game. So this just comes down to, what do you think happens with Chris Paul? Do you think Chris Paul gets limited to like 20 minutes again? If the answer is yes, then you can have some interest in Campaign, who's a good offensive player, and got extended because Paul, again, the shoulder really affected him. So kind of depends how bad you think the shoulder is going to be for Paul. No, it's not like Payne's cheap though, so it is still kind of risky, like almost paying 5K, because if things go wrong here and Paul plays 35 minutes, then there's probably only like 15 minutes left over for Campaign, and he's not going to get you there in 15 minutes. So, that's the risk of the Campaign. And then last guy I mentioned here is Cam Johnson, who I think probably plays about 25 minutes on the bench, a decent score, and I think a fair GPP value play. And moving on to the Lakers. So, Lakers, I think the Lakers are my least favorite team to target on this 3-game slate. LeBron, Anthony Davis, both are below 10K. I think both are solid plays, neither priorities. Again, Anthony Davis did play a little bit of the small ball 5. I've been, talking about it for a while now. He needs to play more small ball 5. That's when the Lakers are at their best. But they're going to give Drummond the minutes. They're going to give minutes to either Gasol or Harrell. So, AD did have a big game last game. He did. I don't think we get that type of, massive game again from AD. He's kind of been up and down. He has, like 22, 49, 30, 67. There's games where he takes over and games where he kind of defers. More of a tournament play for me. I think LeBron might be a little bit safer than AD. But yeah, both guys are playable, but neither I'm going to go out of my way to play. I mean, you guys know the deal by now in Drummond. He's fine for tournaments. Upside is there. Floor is super, super low. Kuzma, absolutely not. Schroeder, I think it's a fair play in the mid-range. Should play over 30 minutes, but doesn't really have upside with guys like LeBron and AD in. KCP has been absolutely awful last couple of games. Again, the way he gets fancy points is he has to hit threes. He hasn't hit threes last couple of games, and he went for 15 and 8 fancy points. So that's the rest of the KCP. And minutes should be there. He's just got to knock down the shots. And Caruso, I think, probably gets about 20-ish, 20 to 25-ish, somewhere around, low 20s minutes. He's been bad last couple of games, but we've seen some games where Caruso pushes for 30 fancy points, and he's a good defender. I think he's a fair value play at below 4K. And then if you want to roll the dice on one of the centers, it was Harrell played the first game. It was Gasol that played the second game. I mean, I think Gasol played decently well, so I would assume it's him over Harrell here. If you want to take a shot in GPPs. But again, if you play one of those guys, be careful. There's a chance you get a DNP. And now my favorite game here of the night is Denver and Portland. And by far, this is for sure my favorite game on the Denver side. So starting Nikola Jokic at 10.7K. If you are going a little bit more stars and scrubs, or you're trying to get someone at the top, I think Jokic looks phenomenal. The offense is going to run through him. He's going to play massive minutes. Even in a blowout last game, he's stolen for 56 fantasy points. So Jokic looks really, really good here at the top. And Michael Porter Jr., 80% in the high dollar stuff last slate and was a bust. But just like Jimmy Butler, I'm fine going right back to the well here. He is too cheap. He should be 8K plus for a guy that is their clear number 2. Good matchup and is going to get a ton of shot attempts up. So I think Michael Porter Jr. looks like a really, really good play there at 7.1K. And if you're going a little bit more balanced, I think he is the one you get to first of the Denver guys. Now, Campazzo is not out of play for me. My issue with Campazzo is I would rather play the guards for cheaper on the same team. I said the exact same thing last slate. I'm saying it here again. I just don't want to pay almost 6K for Campazzo when I can get Monte Morris and Austin Rivers for like $2,000 cheaper. Now, Aaron Gordon I would put him in the same category as, Brook Lopez, Dante DiVincenzo, Trevor Ariza, right? Those kind of guys that are going to play the minutes, but they don't really stand out. They're just kind of like fine filler options. Throw Aaron Gordon in that mix. Should play close to 30 minutes. Yeah, that's kind of just my thoughts. He's just fine. Now, value-wise, there's a little more like here. Monte Morris and Austin Rivers, I like both a decent amount here. Monte Morris off the bench. Played 30 minutes. Again, he'll have the ball in his hands a decent amount when he's out there. We know he's a decent point per guy, and it's a good matchup. So I like Monte Morris. And Austin Rivers got in foul trouble last game. I think if he stays out of foul trouble, maybe we push closer to 30 minutes. So both those guards look pretty decent here. Maybe a slight edge to Morris, who I think does more of the peripheral stats as opposed to Austin Rivers. And then off the bench, Millsap for GPPs. I don't hate it. Now, he did go for 2 fancy points a minute last game and 30 fancy points in 15 minutes. He is a decent point per guy when he plays the backup 5. He will play the backup 5. He played last couple games, he's played like 2 minutes alongside Jokic, but again, mainly at the 5. So with all that being said, I think he is a decent value play, and don't expect huge minutes unless something happens to Jokic and he gets in foul trouble or something. And then if that happens, like Millsap's going to crush, but more often than not, he's going to get about 15 minutes. Other guys, Shaq Harrison got in the rotation last game. They have Marcus Howard. I'm not going to touch either. JaMychal Green has played 18 and 20 minutes last couple games. He's gone below 10 fantasy points in both those games. He's not the best point per minute guy, but he's close to mid-price. Playable, but again, I don't really feel great about that one. And finally, Portland. So Portland, this is a tricky one because I like Dame a lot here at 9.4K. He's a scary fade. I'm just going to say that he is a scary, scary fade. The one downside I will say is they used Aaron Gordon on him in the second half, and Aaron Gordon actually did a pretty solid job defending Damian Lillard. But this is Dame at 9.4. He's going to play 40-plus minutes. I think he's one of the better spot-ups of the slate. I really like Dame. Now, if you can't afford Dame, I am perfectly fine settling with CJ. The upside isn't as high with CJ, but he's still a guy that's going to play big minutes, and he can still go for 40 plus for sure. So yeah, I think I want to try to get to one of the Portland guards. And if you can't afford Dame, again, I'm good settling on CJ. And then my boy, the Bosnian Beast, can he stay out of foul trouble here? Well, I will say this. I am leaning towards playing Nurkic, which means you guys should seriously avoid him because he's going to get in foul trouble. That means the last six or seven slates, I've had at least one guy get in severe foul trouble, like missing like 15, 10 plus minutes. So that is the concern with Nurkic. If he stays out of foul trouble and plays his 33 to 35 minutes, he's going to crush. If he gets in foul trouble, you're in trouble. And there's a decent chance he does going up against Jokic. So risk-reward there with Nurkic. But if he can stay out of foul trouble, I like him a lot. And then Powell, Covington, same thing I'll say about those other guys. Fine filler plays. Powell, going to play big minutes, has to hit his shots. Rocco was absolutely awful last game, but he's also going to play big minutes and need him out there for his defense. So both those guys are fine filler plays. Melo's a GPP play off the bench, should play 20 to 25 minutes, has to hit his shots. Cantor, if you think Nurkic gets in some foul trouble, I'm fine taking a shot on Cantor. Decent point for a guy that's been bad last couple games, but like if he plays like 20 minutes tonight, he could have a really, really good game at a low ownership. Like we know Cantor historically is a good point for a guy, so I'm kind of just throwing those two most recent games out the window. Like I'm not really looking at that. So Cantor I don't hate for tournaments, and then Simons I would assume probably gets about 20 minutes off the bench. At close to min price, you could do worse. Do I feel great about it? No, but yeah, he's someone you can at least consider. Okay, so that's our Matt guys for the 3-game slate. Let's see, do we have any more news? No news on starters, and we're not really waiting on anything big. So I guess we can do some questions here now. Got 260 viewers and only 49 likes. Let's try to hit 100 before the end of the show. That would be greatly appreciated. All right, so, yep, not playing Nurk tonight. Well, yeah, there's a chance he gets in fouled out pre-game. Yeah, taking the risk on Nurk. He's a good point for a guy, right? It's just, can he stay out of foul trouble? I'm really hoping, like, knock on wood, one slate, please, that I don't have to deal foul trouble. That would be nice. Is Iggy viable? I don't think I would do it. I mean, he's one of those guys that is close to min price. How many minutes did he play last game? I think like 15, 14. I probably wouldn't. Yeah, I probably wouldn't. CJ, Drew Holiday, LeBron, Crowder, Dedmon, Rivers, Porter, Drummond. Yeah, it's high risk, high reward, right? So Drummond, the range of outcomes of Drummond are insane. Dedmon's got some risk, right? There's a chance he only plays 10-ish minutes. The reason I think he's at least in play on the slate because we did see a little bit of run with him alongside Bam. Ayton doesn't interest me anymore because DK is the right. Suns offense doesn't revolve from him. His points ain't reliable. Yeah, that's like, I don't think Aiden's a must. I don't. The reason I have interest in him is he played 40-plus minutes. So I'm out to the Heat game 3 right now, about to be lit. Oh, enjoy, man. Worried about Phoenix blowout? Not really. What is it, 6-point spread? 6.5-point spread. If it happens, it happens. But, like, I'm not avoiding guys in a 6.5-point spread. Like, I trust Vegas. So, if it was like a 13-point spread, then I'd have more worry. But, like, if a random blowout happens here, so be it. I'm not going to avoid guys because it's a 6.5-point spread. Ayton or Nurkic are both. I mean, both have some foul risks, right? Ayton against, like, Drummond and AD. Nurk against Jokic, obviously. I think Nurkic probably is a little bit more upside than Ayton if things go right. Rocco or Millsap? Even though Rocco was awful last game, I think it's got to be him because he's going to play like 35 minutes or Millsap's going to play about 15. And I don't know if we can expect 2 fancy points a minute again from Millsap. So I think you got to give the edge to Rocco there. Lillard, DiVincenzo, Jimmy Butler, Cam Johnson, Dedmon, CJ, Middleton, Dragic. Can't wait to dominate. I like the upside. Again, Payne or Rivers. I just don't know it's tough because the Suns and CP3, I don't know what his minutes are going to be. I think if things go right and we get big minutes from Payne again, he's just got more upside than Rivers. He does. So I think if you're going for the upside, you roll the dice on Payne and hope Chris Paul's limited again. Best captain play in Lakers Phoenix. I haven't really looked at the pricing, but like the safest way to go is LeBron or AD for sure. And with Denver and Portland, it kind of depends what you're playing. Obviously, like upside wise, is Lillard and Jokic like the main guys. I think you could roll the dice on a cheap Monte Morris and go team jam him in, or even one of the I guess the secondary stars like a Nurkic or MPJ are viable. So a little bit more options in the late game. Is Trez playable tonight? Montrez, he got a DNP last game. I'm guessing that's who you're talking about. So you can take a shot in him or Gasol, but there's a chance they don't play. Payne or Morris. For me, it's Monte Morris. I feel more comfortable right now with like his role off the bench of like 25 to 30 minutes, whereas Cam Payne, it really depends on Chris Paul, right? I don't think Phoenix is going to play Paul, Booker, and Payne together. So like, we know Booker's going to play big minutes. It just depends on the health of Chris Paul. So, like, it's a tough one. I don't really know what the minutes going to be like for CP3. The best spend up, so, like, of the guys at the top, yeah, that's pretty close. It's Jokic or Giannis for me. If we're talking about, like, the main guys. Like, is Lillard in that consideration? If he is, then I like Lillard a lot for the discount. So, I guess my answer would be Dame. But if Dame's not in consideration for just the top 4 guys, it's either Jokic or Giannis, and that's basic coin flip. Giannis should play about 40 minutes. Jokic 35 plus. Jokic just in the better matchup, but Giannis has dominated last couple games. So, what about Iggy in the showdown? I mean, yeah, he's playable. He'll play probably 15 minutes. Can I play Dame and CJ together? If you're doing that, I'm probably just stacking the game then. If I'm stacking a game, it's that game. So, like, if I'm playing Dame and CJ together, I'm running it back with Jokic or MPJ. Yeah, and just hoping that game's a big shootout. And I do agree. I think that game has the most upside, like, potential. I'm not a pie guy. I'm not a pie guy at all, Encore. No. Easy fade and pie. Top fade, LeBron and AD, I guess. Yeah. Hero and Portis or Middleton and Dedmon. It's Middleton and Dedmon. Yeah, I'm not playing Hero. Any Dennis the Menace love? Schroeder. Fair play. I don't know if he has the upside with LeBron and AD in a tougher matchup, but like I think he's actually a safer option on the slate. Do you think Dedmon will be really popular? I don't think so. I don't think I play him really in a cash game setting, Dedmon, because he's center eligible only, and there's a lot of good center plays. Right, we got Jokic at the top. We got Nurk, Ayton in the mid-range. They both look really, really good. Like Brolo's solid value. So I don't think Dedmon's going to be super popular. And again, there's risks with this risk with Dedmon, right? I'm not saying to go out and play Dwayne Dedmon. I just think there's a little bit of positive that we saw him playing alongside Bam. I'm going to watch that game. I want to see if he plays alongside Bam again. If not, he's probably only going to get 10 to 12 minutes. But I think there's at least a possibility he plays more based on what we saw last game. Dame Lillard, Duncan Robinson, Crowder, Ariza, Jokic, Composo, Millsap, and Ayton. See, I'm okay with it for tournaments, but like, I think you're sacrificing too much by picking like 2 top stars. If you want to ask like my take, I like the more balanced build today. Crowder or Rocco? Crowder. I think Crowder is right now the better offensive player than Rocco. I do think Crowder plays more unless he gets 2 fouls in a minute like last game. Giannis or Dame, really confused who to spend up for. So point per dollar, I'll give the edge to Dame. And I think like if you get to Giannis, you might just sacrifice again, it kind of depends what value plays you have in there and do you feel really good about it. We've seen the value has really not been good last couple slates, right? We had Dane Green being like 70% in high dollar. He was a bust. We go Payne. If you think Chris Paul is going to be limited, I'm fine. I'm taking a shot on him. Booker or Drew? Who? It really depends on what you think happens with Paul. If you really think Paul, that shoulder is going to continue to bother him and he's just going to be out there more for a decoy, then I prefer Booker. But if Chris Paul, if they really worked on the shoulder and he's better now, then I would prefer Drew. So it's a tough one. Yeah, Drew or CJ. I guess it kind of depends what the rest of your lineup looks like. So that one's basically coin flip. I've been asked that a couple times with Drew or CJ. I think it's really a coin flip. Nurk or Bam. I mean, honestly, Bam's probably a little bit safer. I think there's less foul trouble risk. I like the upside more in Nurk, though, like point per dollar. Rivers and Dame or Holiday and Ayton. Yeah, I think it's Holiday and Ayton, right? Because the value is just not amazing on the slate. I think I just lean towards more balance. Giannis or AD? Giannis straight up. You rolling the dice on Deadman. I'm not. Gate, stop playing Bam, MPJ or Drew. Give me MPJ. Both buckets and Bam. Who's the other bucket? Jimmy bucket? Who's the other buckets? I don't think I would put Jimmy and Bam together unless you're stacking it. You like Jay Crowder. I think Jay Crowder is one of the safer value plays. I like Jay Crowder a decent amount, yeah. Every optimizer giving me Covington. Again, he's fine. He is fine. He'll play big minutes. Like him, Jay Crowder, pretty similar plays. Maybe I have a small lean to Jay, but like I think they're both value plays we got to look to. And if you go stars and scrubs, you got to play at least a few of those guys, at least like 2 or 3. Payne or Dante DiVincenzo. Dante DiVincenzo is way safer. We know his role of about 30 minutes, a do-it-all guy. Cam Payne depends on the health of Chris Paul. Again, so like those Suns with Paul, with Ayton, or with Paul, with the guards, it really just comes down to Chris Paul's health. Ariza or Crowder. Give me Crowder for the discount, point per dollar. Lillard, Portis, and KCP or Payne, MPJ, and Drummond. Ooh. I guess the first one. GPP, LeBron, Duncan, JB. Oh, Jimmy Butler. Okay. Millsap, Ayton, Draw. Yeah, that's fine with me. Last piece in utility, 3,700 to play with. Cam Johnson would be safer than... Yeah, Cam Johnson's a lot safer than Dedmon or Forbes because Cam Johnson's role is going to 20 to 25 minutes on the bench. Forbes, we know his role, but he's just got to hit his threes. And Dedmon, I think, is interesting, but I think Cam Johnson's the safest of the bunch. Yeah, Brook Lopez, DiVincenzo, I think are both safe value plays. Holiday and Nurkic or Dame and Dante DiVincenzo. It's tough, man. It's tough. I think I like the first a little bit more. 3.8K for utility. Yeah, it's probably going to be... Let's see. It's probably Cam Johnson. Cam or Caruso. Drummond in play for tournaments, yeah. Upside's there, but he also has a very, very low floor. Go-to cheat meal. I guess Chipotle, if you consider that cheat. All right. Thanks for the video, of course. Dragic or Drew. So they're different price points. Point per dollar, I think I slightly prefer Dragic. Obviously straight up Drew. But yeah, point per dollar, I think a small edge to Dragic. Dragic or Dante, pretty close. I'll go Dragic. I think the upside's a little bit higher. Yeah, I think Cam there. It's either Cam or Caruso. All right, guys. KCP or Melo? I think KCP is safer. Both are pretty similar. They both kind of have to hit shots to get value. And KCP is going to play more, even though he's been shooting awful. So I think if straight up, I would just go KCP and just hope he does a better job of hitting shots. Oh, so Dragic is starting. Dragic is starting for the Heat now with Butler, Robinson, Ariza, and Bam. Okay. So they're not starting none. Yeah, I think Dragic plays more now. Yeah. You guys already knew I was pretty high on Goran Dragic, and now I think he looks a little bit better. So I wouldn't say a lock, but he does look pretty good now. I'm hoping we get playoff Jimmy Butler. I'm hoping. All right, guys. That is going to do it, though, for me. I got to go stream for Patreon, so good luck. Enjoy these games. Let's hope for no foul trouble. I've said that literally every single slate, and every single time I have to deal with foul trouble. So I'm praying for some good luck, because if it wasn't for bad luck, I have no luck at all. And I'll be back here tomorrow to close out the week on Friday. So I'll see you guys all then.